Welcome to your weekly dose of horror news and fun. This is episode 30 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Dan McGuinness, and joining me as always is my co-host, Jennifer, the Dream Warrior Strand. Together, we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster memberships. You can catch us weekly on all major podcasting services and on the YouTube. Oh, Jen, how has your week been?
My week's been the McConaughey.
Oh,
It's fucking fucked. I did a 6-day work week, 50-hour work week, just coming out of that lockdown, all that stock that was needed to be done, and more stock arriving, and then preparations for Black Friday. So I have done literally nothing but work.
That's gross.
It is sad. I did, however, I was very excited. I watched the gay Christmas movie. So I dislike Christmas.
Wait, what's gay Christmas movie?
So the new movie Happiest Season has just come out. It's written and directed by Clea Duvall, who is from The Faculty.
Oh, yeah.
I love her. Had a mad crush on her in the 90s and still do. So anyway, she's written this very lovely gay Christmas film, which has just hit the cinemas. And it's just about this lesbian couple that go to spend Christmas with one of the girls' families, but they find out that she's not come out to her family, and hilarity ensues. It's not very hilarious. It is a rom-com. It was really great. Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek's in it. He's great. Kristen Stewart's in it. I love her. Aubrey Plaza's in it. I love her even more.
Now, is it great, or is it great for a Christmas movie?
I think it's great for, I'm not a Christmas person, nor am I a Christmas movie person, but it worked on both levels. It was really good, and I highly recommend everyone seeing it. And I cannot wait for all the gays to come out and start talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it? Does it have any saucy sex scenes?
There's no saucy sex scenes because it is a rom-com, but you do get to see Kristen Stewart making out with ladies, and you do get to see some chemistry between her and Aubrey Plaza, which is just as good.
Okay.
So that was literally the highlight of my week.
Is Father Christmas in it? Is there magic?
There is no magic. There is no Father Christmas.
How is this a Christmas film? If no one turns into Father Christmas, how is it a Christmas film? My favourite Christmas film is it all the Christmas Chronicle? It came out with Kurt Russell as Father Christmas a couple of years ago. It's heaps good. Okay. He plays like this gnarly old Father Christmas. He's just like, yeah, whatever. And he loses his sleigh or something happens and these kids find it and he's just like happy-go-lucky Father Christmas. But it's just really good.
So it's Stuntman Mike as Santa?
What?
Is it Stuntman Mike as Santa?
Basically, yeah. And he's great. He gets put in jail and he just breaks out by just making everyone just have a dance number, like a sing, and because he's Father Christmas. And everyone's normal in the film, but he's just this weird person put into this really normal bleak reality. It's really good.
Interesting. My favorite Christmas movie is A Christmas Story. Which is about a little boy called Ralph, and all he wanted for Christmas was a Red Ryder BB gun. And so he's coming up with these elaborate plans. It's set in the 1950s, made in the 80s. He's coming up with all these elaborate plans and schemes as to convince his parents, convince his teachers, convince Santa that he needs this Red Ryder BB gun. It was the only Christmas film we had as a kid growing up. But it's still.
Just watched it over and over again.
We did. So that is my Christmas film. Every year I watch.
VHS.
Yes, on VHS. So yeah, how's your week been, Dan?
So I finished. I rolled credits, as the kids call it, on Ghost of Tsushima on PlayStation. Great game, beautiful game. It was heaps bleak, hey.
Really?
Because it's set in Japan in a real time period with real rules. It's just so bleak over there, and there's storylines for all these characters, and they just all are just horrible. And then the end is and you're like, oh man, it's still great because there's all things in Japan, it's all so much about honor, and then mainland Japan, if the shogunate said something, you just had to do it, even if it was horrible things to your family, you just had to do it, and you did it because you had the honor and all that. And I'm heavy, and to think it's all real and crazy. I started running again.
Fantastic.
Got back on the old treadmill and started running. Finally, I haven't run since my baby was born. It's 16 months.
Wow.
I haven't exercised for.
How'd you feel? How'd you go?
Oh man, so sore. The top of my legs, the top half of my legs was so sore for days. I did 2 days of running in a row, then rode to work the other days, and I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
How do you how does one get back into running? So as someone who I got a little bit fit a few years ago and then I completely lost it again. So do you just get on a treadmill and you're just like, oh, this is fine? Or do you have to just start a walk leading into a light jog, or do you just go ham?
Yeah, I just go ham. I've got the treadmill set, 9Ks an hour, this amount of time, and then I just do it.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll have to grab the handle things and hold myself up, but I'm still running. Yeah. And I got myself for Christmas a Lego set, which is the new creator stuff.
Yes.
Where people put, they put their ideas in, and then Lego looks at them, and if they're really good, they actually put them out.
Yeah.
That's what creator is. There's a new Ecto-1 Ghostbusters car, which is fucking huge, and it just looks so good. It's Technics as well, so all the steering wheel, all the column and the axles, and they all work and stuff like that. But I wrapped it up and then put it under the Christmas tree for myself. So I can't tell you exactly what it's like. All I've done is I didn't even look at it. I got someone else to wrap it. It just arrived, and then I got someone else to open it. So I like surprises on Christmas.
Oh, that's so cute.
Bought myself some Clive Barker novels that I've wrapped up. Makes the Christmas tree look good.
Huh, maybe I'll go buy a bunch of stuff and wrap it up.
That's what I did. It makes Christmas Day really exciting. And then, if you do that for yourself, and then Liz will get angry that she doesn't have it as a present. And, I bought them for myself. She'll be like, it doesn't matter.
I got one present for her because it cost me $300.
That's how much the Lego thing was.
Yeah. So I didn't even realize, because they've released a Mandalorian soundtrack, on vinyl.
Oh, dear.
Which is coming out very soon. However, when we saw them, because it's an 8-disc vinyl box set.
Oh, it's a big thing.
And so she's like, oh, I wouldn't mind having that one in particular. And then I found out that, no, you cannot just have one. It's a box set.
What? Just one part of the music she liked?
Oh, because we didn't realize it was because we just thought they were releasing 8 different ones. So we didn't realize it was a box set until I went to order it. And then I'm like, well, now you're getting all of them.
Ooh.
$300.
All right, let's move on. Let's start the show. Let's start with horror news. Yes, each week me and Jen take you through the horror news that you need to know about. Welcome to Horror News.
Nice,
I know. What's up first, Jen?
All right, kaiju fans. Godzilla vs. Kong. We're all excited for it. We've been teased with the toys, but there is nowhere for it to go currently. So it looks like it could be heading to Netflix, or it could be heading to HBO Max.
Which means it's in developer hell.
Yes.
There's no one to support it. Which means that Netflix obviously didn't make it.
No, Netflix did not make it. Warner has made it. However, Netflix made an offer of more than $200 million to get the rights to stream it first.
Oh, so people want it.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, it's a TV show or is it a movie?
No, it's the movie. So we're meant to have obviously gotten it in cinemas either this year or very early next year, but who the fuck knows what's happening with anything right now. So most of these content is being discussed and put into streaming services. So at the moment, there's a big brouhaha about Disney releasing the Black Widow movie on their streaming services rather than the cinema.
In the cinema.
So $200 million they offered Warner, and they turned it down.
They turned it down?
Yep. So it looks like there's a bidding war happening between HBO Max and Netflix, which I think is going to be tricky because we don't have HBO Max here.
What's weird is all the pictures for this have the Netflix logo in the background.
Yeah.
It, already Netflix had already thought they'd secured it and released a bunch of pictures. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing as well. Netflix is worldwide. HBO Max is limited to America. So unless you have a VPN and are willing to pay
stuff,
then you're not going to get HBO Max stuff.
Unless you want to make out you're American.
Yeah, it's scheduled for a 2021 release in May, and I've sort of been steering clear of any information.
I like the Kong. Was it Godzilla vs. Kong supports a PG-13 rating, which I'm not quite sure what that translates to here. Is that an M?
It's Yeah, it's
an
M.
M rating, and it got the PG-13 rating for intense sequences of creature violence, destruction, and brief language. Is that like that? To me, that sounds like, you know, Godzilla or King Kong gets knocked onto a building, like gets punched into a building, and then it goes fuck when he gets knocked over.
Or it'll be at their like PG-13, so you're allowed like 1 fuck, 3 shits, and that's it.
And a poopy.
And a poopy. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see Godzilla vs. Kong. They've been leading up to it for a while now. I
just feel that Godzilla is way stronger.
Yeah, probably.
Like, Kong is he's big.
Yeah.
And he's strong. But you've got, like, I feel Godzilla in those, like, the Godzilla they're using, he's like 3 times as tall as Kong, isn't he?
He's massive, and he's radioactive.
Yeah, Kong would just die of old
all
age.
his fur's going to start coming out.
He'd be like, oh, no.
But
I reckon they're going to shrink. I'm getting that. Oh, maybe they'll just make Kong. Maybe Kong will react to his radiation and become bigger.
Oh, I like that.
Why is Kong big? Is he just a megafauna left over? Was that the explanation?
Yeah.
But
Did you see the Kong Skull Island movie?
Yes. Is that the one with Adrian Brody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It was good. And Jack Black and stuff like that.
I remember
Jack Black
was the Peter Jackson one.
What?
The Jack Black one was... No, okay, so no Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody was in the 2005 one with Jack Black. No, the new one that came out with...
just called Skull Island?
Skull Island,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I love that one with
Brie Larson.
Samuel Jackson.
Thor, yes.
And yeah. No, that was good fun, that film. I've watched it a couple of times.
Good.
It was unexpectedly good. You're like, hang on, this has no right to be as good as it is. It's a King Kong monkey movie.
We thought the exact same thing. We loved it. We've watched it several times since. So that... Whenever that came out, that was a few years ago now, we've been leading into this, you know, Godzilla. I'm not a huge fan of the Americanized Godzilla films.
Is this the Walter White Godzilla?
I think so.
The one where he was in, like, and I did a second one recently. It was King of the Monsters. Yeah. Yeah, he's massive.
Yeah, and this was basically, I mean, that first Godzilla film was basically just him cop blocking 2 aliens from trying to have sex.
Yeah, don't want to do that.
But they were okay, but kind of average films.
I think the second one was better.
Yeah.
I think. Don't know. Everyone knows that the best Godzilla film is Shin Godzilla.
Oh my god.
It's so good.
I love Shin Godzilla.
Oh man.
Can we do that for an episode?
I've looked at it a couple of times thinking about choosing it. Do I have to choose this week?
You do.
I didn't do it.
No. Look, we're in a very stressful time right now.
I thought about like doing Killer Klowns just because like...
Which is funny because that's literally up next on the list.
No, so what's happening with them?
Yeah, so Stephen Chiodo still keeping the hope alive for a Killer Klowns from Outer Space sequel.
Yeah, I don't know. The Killer Klowns are rad. Except they're not.
Yes.
They look rad.
Yes.
And they do some funny things, but the overall, everything apart from the clowns in these films is rubbish.
It is, and I don't want to say the film does not hold up because that's not an accurate statement, but I've watched it recently within like the last couple of years, and there's a lot of like sitting around going, okay, this is not necessary, this isn't necessary. Yep. But it's like, still a good fun film. Like, I love it.
In this day and age, if they got some good actors to do like the actual acting parts, and use them sort of, and they can still make it like a horror comedy kind of thing. We're looking at 1988. It should have known better. It should have been better.
So they made a statement. We've been trying to do a sequel since we made the film, and fans get angry with us because, that's what fans do. We don't mention it too much because they get angry. They say, "Oh, what's the matter with you guys?" But we're trying. The business is just moves at a glacial pace. There's interest, and it wanes and flows. It's pretty accurate because anyone who wants to do anything, you're just going to get hit with backlash from fans.
Do you remember like their spaceship came out with basically like a big like spinning top?
Yeah.
And then it landed, went into the ground, and it was just a circus tent.
Yes.
And like
that's classic.
Yeah, I know.
That's
like,
golden. I love it.
And and they are just killer clowns, and they have like the shadow puppet bit where the shadow puppet eats the people and stuff like that. It's got some cool ideas in it, and it is that wackiness. It's like that wackiness of like The Mask.
Yeah, and I would like to see them do something. Because I think updated filmmaking techniques, not CGI. Please don't CGI. Keep it keep it
just make them
the same. But just the way we go about making films now is completely different, and I feel that it could be a little bit darker, a little bit funnier, and just sort of all around better.
It was just basically a bunch of like almost skits of how these clowns could just kill people.
Yeah,
like there wasn't much to it.
No, that was pretty much it.
They should just get Eric Andre to direct it.
No, don't let him do anything.
Yeah, man, he's wicked.
He freaks me out.
Have you seen his new season?
No.
And you see, he's shaved his head completely bald and like has a golden tan.
No.
Like he's gold. He's like a golden bald man, like a Buddha statue.
Yeah.
He's weird.
The last thing I can remember watching him in was Popstar. Just in those like TMZ moments.
Yelling bits, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so this is I don't know. Like if this happens, I'll be like, "Oh yeah?"
Yeah.
Will I watch it? It's a roll of the dice, eh?
Yeah.
Like, it's a matter of whether it gets shoved in my face at the right time and how I feel. I'm not going to actively seek out Killer Klowns 2.
No. I mean, it'll probably go to Netflix, and then you'll be like, yeah, okay, why not?
Oh, yeah, mate. Maybe.
But they've also just
My time
released
is
a stop-motion holiday special called Alien Christmas, which is now streaming on Netflix. So I feel that if they do well with that, they are going to have, like, a green light to, okay, sure, you can do Killer Klowns too. I started watching the Alien Exodus movie last night, and it was way too Christmassy for me. I was just like, no, fuck this shit. I'm done.
But the stop motion one?
Yeah. It looks fantastic. The aliens are all really cute. It's like a super Grinchy film, which you had me at Grinchy.
Super Grinch.
But it's just too sort of child Christmas magical for me.
Yeah, yuck. What's next?
All right. Killer Shark movie. You had me at Killer Shark movie.
You didn't have me at Killer Shark. Have you seen the first one? This movie's terrifying. It's
I
gross.
haven't seen it.
It's fucked, hey? It's just like, ugh.
So The Reef, getting a sequel with The Reef Stalked from the returning director Andrew Trachey. I'm terrible at pronouncing names.
Doesn't matter.
I do apologise.
Matter, right? They should have better names.
So in an effort to heal after witnessing her sister's horrific murder, Nick, her sister Annie, and two close friends travel to a remote Pacific island for a kayaking. Fuck me.
Kakaki!
I need I need my eyes tested. Kayaking and diving adventure. Kaka. Only hours into their expedition, the women are stalked and then attacked by a massive great white.
All right, so...
Fuck off. Great white sharks are not as horrible as these movies make out.
But they're not as big as they are either. That's like the poster here has got like the downward shot. And it looks like a bloody megalodon is after them.
Yeah.
Number one, if you went through this first film, you wouldn't be just going kayaking and snorkeling again in shit in the water, especially to get over the fear of like your sister being eaten by a great white shark.
I would never go into the ocean ever again.
Neither would I.
And
the catchphrase is they just wanted to heal and now they're fighting to survive. And I'm like, if you wanted to heal from a shark attack, don't go to like swimming.
Well, this is the thing. So you've gone into this predatory creature's environment.
Native habitat.
It's its home. You've invaded its home. It's bitten you. It's eaten someone you love. And then you decide, oh, you know what? I feel traumatized from this. I'm going to go and invade its home again. And then wonder why I'm going to get
it attacked you. At first I was like, oh, maybe this is, the write-up was written badly. Like, it's not really. And then, like, the poster actually has it written on it. Like, and then the fact that it's stalked, is it the same shark that's just finding it, like in Jaws 3? The Jaws just follows the plane along? Like, because we all know that white pointers are the most intelligent creatures on Earth. You know how they pay tax and do crosswords and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
they know what's up. It's crazy.
I know what's happening.
I mean, I probably won't watch this film because...
But you love your big monsters.
I do, but they're all bad. It's like the 47 Meters Down film that I watched. It was good, and then they released the sequel, and I watched the trailer for that, and I just thought, no, there's no way I'm watching this hot mess.
How good is it from the writer-director of Blackwater and The Reef? It's like, dudes, get off the sharks.
Well, Blackwater was good.
Crocodiles, wasn't it? Blackwater?
Yeah.
It's like they've got like their schnick of like, oh, they've tasted a little bit of like a thing and like, we can't move away from the bitey animals. We can't do any. Oh. Wait up.
So we've just had some fan issues. The fan has decided to just start clicking.
I fixed it. I'm
Yay!
a man. I'm a man of the world.
Man. The manliest
Yeah.
of men.
I'm tapping out. This isn't shark movies. I mean, I hate going to the beach. I hate water. I don't like.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like sharks. I feel that like water is not where humans are supposed to be. So I'm just like,
it's true.
I just don't go there.
I'm more of a flailer. I don't swim. I go and I do hydrotherapy because I've just got my body's a mess. So I do that. I do like the ocean, but I cannot swim and I'm terrified of what's in it.
Yeah.
It's a healthy fear because I'm fascinated. I love sharks. I've always loved sharks and been obsessed with them and fascinated by them.
Same.
But I have
love
a healthy fear.
I love the idea of the ocean.
Yeah.
And what's down it. I like the idea that like it's so deep, we don't know what's down there.
Yeah.
There could be like aliens.
There are aliens.
There are clearly aliens in the center of the earth.
Yep.
QAnon told me. You heard it first.
Well, that's got to be accurate then.
And they're politicians.
Yeah.
And they're reptilian shapeshifters.
Yes,
Like, they're
definitely.
all there and we all know that.
Yeah.
We all know that.
But like, if I go into the ocean, I'm not going anywhere past my waist.
Well, the problem with the ocean is that everything in there, Nelly, is designed to hurt you.
Yes.
Because they're all like, this is a fucked environment.
But
We
it's
have
not
to be
designed to
dangerous to
hurt
survive.
us. It's designed to protect themselves from other predators.
Yeah,
and
like
we're just a big old predator.
It's just like stingrays. Like, you know, let's hide just under the sand. And if any dickhead treads on me, I'm going to sting him.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, cool. I'm not going in there. Jellyfish, they just float at you and they sting you.
Yeah.
Like, blue ring octopuses, they're tiny and they kill you. Sharks, obvious what's wrong with them.
There's nothing wrong with sharks. They're precious.
You know what I mean? Like, they're just a bunch of things. And then people are like, oh, got attacked. Like, just recently there was a shark attack in South Australia, wasn't
Yeah.
there? And they're like, oh, what do we do? Should we, And I'm like, no, you just don't
You do not go out and kill the shark. You take that as you went into its environment.
Are you aware next weekend is the festival on TV for the Reef, as in Reef Aid or whatever it's called? There's like a big live like music thing for the reef spawn or whatever it's called. It's like, the barrier reef when all the spawns come out. There's a big television live like telethon event thing for it on ABC.
That's kind
Reef
of cool.
Live. That's what it's called. And I'm like, they've been advertising it all week and I might tune in just to see what the fuck that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have normal TV, so I have no idea what these events are.
Neither do I.
But
but I watch iView all the time on my Apple TV. I watch the news in the morning and stuff, and they're always advertising Reef Live and like with acts like this be great actor
like
and
Ed Sheeran.
I mean, I can't wait. It's gonna be so good because it's such a non-event.
Yeah.
Like, check out these rocks. Poot out some little stuff.
Pooting.
I hope there's I
feel it's good though.
I hope
we
there's
need
slow
it.
motion shots of it to like Enya.
It's just like a puckered asshole just shitting something out. But I'm like okay with it because they do want to destroy the reefs and for drilling and whatever the fuck they're doing. Stop doing it. Once they're gone, they're gone.
That's true.
So don't do it.
So everyone tune into Reef 8.
Yeah.
Reef Live. So
That not to be confused with Rove Live.
not Rove Live.
No.
It's the worst. Anyhow, let's go. Let's move on to the beautiful homework. Yes, every week, me and Jennifer set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene the next week and spoil the fuck out of it for all you guys. By the end of it, you won't need to watch this, because you would have heard everything about it. You'd be like, what's that? Oh, that's that thing I haven't watched that I know everything about.
Yep.
We have a rating system. We've got our own rating system, the sexy rating system, which is Jennifer.
Yes. So we've got the A, awesome, everybody should watch. B, beer and chicken wing group movie. We've got F for fun and dumb. The U is underrated. G, good for its time but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special. The D, Dan special.
We should explain what they are, I reckon, a bit more. So that's just a movie that one of us would like and the other one wouldn't.
Yeah, like if you've listened to us for a while, you will kind of start listening and going, oh, this is definitely a Jen film, or this is a Dan film.
Yeah.
You'll pick up on it because we have similar tastes, but then we also have very contrasting.
Those ones are in for our long-time listeners.
Yes. We've got a W, which is whatever, so off my radar. We've got the recently added Kesha, which is a low-budget hot mess. And then we have
The lowest of low.
the McConaughey, which is the fucking fuck. Just fuck, don't watch this film.
Don't watch it.
Don't even. You've listened to us talk about it. Just don't watch it.
And so this week we watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, which is Jen's pick.
Yes, it was, because I panic-picked because I hadn't prepared.
We keep forgetting because I always think... I do this weird thing of I watched a film, I've watched a film, therefore that's all I have to do.
It's just been a rough couple of weeks, so we're a bit sort of all over the place, which is fine. We make it work. It works for us.
So director, Tobe Hooper.
Yep. He
What is
also did Poltergeist,
Poltergeist and The
Potentially.
Funhouse.
which we hated.
Yeah, and then... So there's lots of controversy about the Poltergeist as well, and who really directed it. Was it Steven Spielberg? Was it Tobe Hooper? Was Tobe Hooper just there when did Steven Spielberg swing his dick and change all Tobe's things? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's a lot of that shit going around.
Sounds exactly what's happened. Tobe Hooper was brought in as the director, and Steven Spielberg was on hiatus, so decided to go stick his dick in.
Exactly. What other?
So, the screenplay is by Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper. Of course, most of you who know about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they know that Tobe Hooper, he claims he's gotten the idea for the film while standing in the hardware section of a crowded store while Christmas shopping. He basically was thinking of ways he could get out of it.
Out of the crowds.
Out of the crowd, and then just spotted some chainsaws. So, there's that. Starring Gunnar Hansen and Marilyn Burns.
How's the name Gunnar?
Gunnar.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, he's Icelandic.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
Oh, yes, that makes much sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
If something doesn't make sense, just say it's Icelandic, and it suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, it's done. So this is pretty much a very no-name cast. Of course, the narrator, John Larroquette, is the only person that went on to
do
any
anything.
kind of real fame. And
And when you say narrator, he's just the guy that reads a short passage at the start of the film,
yes,
which we'll get
his
into.
payment for this opening narration, by the way, was a marijuana joint.
A pine needle.
Yep. So the budget was between $80,000 and $140,000, and the US box office grossed $30.9 million.
Well, we can call this a raging success.
Ooh,
That is 80 to 100. That may be the lowest budget we've ever had. Then
possibly.
again, I reckon most of this film is found locations,
Yes.
you know, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So it's very good to note that in the same year that this was released, The Wicker Man, not the Nicolas Cage one, The Wicker Man with Brett Eklund, and The Exorcist were released.
Which is the thing I think we should do from now on, is just say some of the films that were released in the same year, so you can get an idea of the film landscape at that time, and then you can make your comparison to it.
Yeah.
And we all know The Exorcist is supremely good and stuff like that. Because a lot of times I find myself going, it was pretty good for like 19 whatever, but then I realize I'm giving it too much, too much credit because... Wait up! All these other wicked films came out, so it could have been better, or vice versa. You know what I mean? I'm too hard on it, and then I realize, oh, hang on, they didn't even have color TV, or they were just listening to crystal set radios at that time.
It's so true. Also, I'd like to point out that this is our first movie that we've done from the 70s.
Oh,
We have mostly stuck with the 80s, 90s, and present day.
Did we do a 78?
Halloween. Sorry,
Yeah.
I do apologise.
That was my birth year. That's the only reason I remembered, because that was the year
right.
I was born.
It might as well have been the 80s.
So this is our second movie from the 70s.
Okay.
Dickhead. All right, let's start. So the
Alright.
film opens with a warning.
Yep.
Very much like Blood Diner did. So let's play it now.
10 times better.
The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular, Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother, Franklin. It is all the more tragic in that they were young. But had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Cool. So what did you think of that, Jane?
I love this opening. I thought it sets a tone. And not just in the way that Blood Diner set the tone. This actually sets a tone because as it goes through, it's like, the film that you're about to see, it's based on true events, all this stuff's happening. And then it fades into a corpse.
Yeah.
Which has been strung up.
But it's read like a news reading, a report.
Yeah.
Kind of. How it reads is like it's, what they report to the public, kind of thing, which makes it really very, very cool. And then, as I was about to say, like the whole opening of this film, like your credits and your opening, is very like found footage-esque, as in reporting the actual events that happen. You've got all these fake, like actual news reports playing over stuff and stuff like that. So it has this opening which is a massive lie. Like this film is not true.
No.
And for so long, people thought it was like an actual thing that had happened that the film would be based on.
It's very
which is
loosely
great.
based on Ed Gein, but as we know, Ed Gein wasn't technically a serial killer. He killed 2 women. He was a grave robber and a necrophiliac.
Yeah, which they kind of like glaze over at the start, and then so it opens. August 18, 1973. That's when our film is set. Mm-hmm. August 18? No one knows. Is that the actual date maybe that actual murder stuff happened and they're kind of like trying to cloud it, or they don't, you don't think they're that smart? They just thought doing a random date would make it seem more realistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's the middle of summer, it's hot, and we do get that throughout the film that it's disgustingly hot in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Texas. So, it kind of sets a tone.
But before we've even got the credits or anything, it's got some weird editing styles, and I thought it was really cool at the start.
Yeah.
So it goes to that, your warning. It goes to black, and then you hear and then it's just basically you see this flash of, if you can kind of make it out, but it's gross. It's like a bit of a corpse or something like that, and you realize it's camera flash. So all you're seeing is the camera flash of it. So it's only out for like a second, and then then it's black with just the sound of the flash recharging, like that.
Oh, so good. I love that sound.
And it goes. Yeah. Gives you another, flash of another angle of this corpse. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I've got to say though, I'm gonna say it straight up at the start. I think a lot of this stuff is all fluke. Yeah. I think they will try, and I don't think a lot of it is Tobe Hooper. I think a lot of it is their editor, whoever they had in there, and he just went ham with some really good ideas. I think the majority of this film's success is to do with the editor, who no one knows. Like who knows who that guy is. But very, very cool, atmospheric, and then it kind of cuts to. He does this a couple of times. Yeah. 5 or 6 times. It's these pew flashes and pew, very unnerving.
Yeah.
And then there's bang, hard cuts to a full close-up of the corpse that we were looking at, and a slow zoom out, and you work out that this corpse is wired to a grave.
Yep.
With an overlay, a sound overlay of a news report of what's happened.
Yeah.
Police report that these people came in, dug up graves, and wired up a bloody corpse to this thing, and they don't know why they did. Very unnerving. Yeah. Very gross.
So a lot of grave robbing happening in Texas at the moment. It's very interesting. So it's huge monument, and it's not just a corpse, but there's like another head attached.
It's almost an art piece.
Yeah, it's very much like an artistic grave robbing corpse thing.
Yeah.
Sets a tone.
And that made it seem very, very real. Like I was just like, okay, I understand now why people thought this was real. It's very, it's very rotten.com. If anyone alive knows what that is.
Yep.
And then we get a hard cut to the title with a red background with like chaotic. I've written a chaotic, grindy soundscape.
Yeah,
like more unnerving shit. Like it's just like, oh god, fuck, I'm not really relaxed here. And my wife was watching it as well, and she's like, "This is horrible.
Oh god,
what are you watching?"
Why did you?
And it's like,
why?
It's like they've like taken a hint from a snuff film or something. They were trying to get a snuff vibe out of it.
Yeah, I mean the 70s.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Like we talk a lot about, the early 2000s when they had the torture porn stuff, but a lot of people don't really talk too much about the 70s, and they were just trying to outdo each other. There's a lot of mutilation and rape and torture happening in the 70s.
Yeah, in like underground film and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not very versed in this. I know you are. You've done like your thesis on cannibal holocaust. I can't even think of why you'd want to do that, but cool. But yeah, so to me, I'm not actually that versed in this film genre, this subgenre of horror. So straight away I was like, ugh. That's my thesis. So this is all happening. Great. We hard cut to a dead armadillo.
Yep.
Armadillos, nature's idiot animal. Like this thing is upside down dead.
Yeah.
I think it's a real dead armadillo. Because this is back in the time when they didn't give a fuck about showing dead animals.
They really didn't. No.
It's upside down and they look ridiculous when they're upside down. Like I'm glad they didn't. Have you seen Rango?
Yes.
Because there's one of the main characters is a armadillo that's been hit by a car, and it's just like you know how they're like an arc shape. Yeah. It's just got a tire flat. It's got a tire mark in it, like it's been run over through the middle, and it's just totally flat, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just they must. I think armadillos get hit by cars a lot because they're idiots.
Quite possibly.
Nature's idiots.
Yep.
So it cuts to that, and then we get a hard cut into the van.
Van of teens.
The fucking Scooby group.
The Scooby gang. I would like to point out that the van that was used in this film belonged to the director of TerrorVision.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, just say, I got a van if you need it. And he just happened to own a green van with a bunch of kids going around.
Yeah, he's like, I've also got the kids in the van. Do you want to borrow them too?
Yeah, yep. I mean, the acting was pretty much just... It's just like, they got the actors with the van. So we cut to the van. We're introduced to our first character, who I didn't know his name at first, but his name is Franklin.
Franklin in the wheelchair?
Franklin in the wheelchair. I've written guy in wheelchair is our first character. We're kind of introduced to it. It basically starts with them stopping, having to lay down the plank so he can go out and take a piss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So straight away, a bit of an awkward opening for these characters, eh?
A little bit. So they're obviously on the way somewhere. As a gang.
Yeah, we're going to get into this somewhere of what their plan is later.
Yeah,
they're on a road trip.
It's fine.
So I thought this was a really weird opening. Well, this shows this is Tobe Hooper's filmmaking now. Yeah. So we're seeing like, okay, it's introduce your characters before you show one going for a real tedious, because it's the olden days. There's no wheelchair ramps in the van, so they have to put planks down, wheel this poor dude out into a bunch of bushes. He has to piss into a coffee can or something, and then of course, what happens?
So a truck just rolls by and somehow spooks them all, but spooks Franklin into rolling down the hill and falling out of his wheelchair.
Now, we're not quite sure how he's disabled, Franklin, because, as you were saying earlier...
So as he's rolling down the hill, flailing his legs, it's not accurate. It's not accurate for someone who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and then he's, like, on the ground at the bottom. He's already all beaten up now. He's got cuts all over him.
I'm just very surprised as to how a truck driving past... Have
you actually, though, this was a double trailer, a double truck.
Yeah.
Very tall one with livestock in it, I think, maybe. Have you been next to them when they speed past? Because they go like 120 k's an hour past you, and they actually can knock shit over. So that did make a slight bit of sense.
That makes more sense now.
But I'm terrified. You didn't really get that from it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because as far as I was aware, like the van is there on the side of the road. Franklin is between the van and the road. So there's like this big old...
There is a blocking.
A barrier.
Well, the thing I noticed, straight away, is he's taking a piss. He goes down the thing and his dick's not out. His pants aren't even...
the first thing
his pants aren't even down. And I wanted to see a bit of Franklin Wang flopping down the hill. Like, that seemed important to me as continuity.
Well, you're not wrong, and that might have crossed my mind once or twice.
Like where's Franklin's dick? Once or twice, like later in the movie for no reason. Like, you know what this film needs? Franklin's dick.
No, as I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep last night, I'm like, fuck, I can't sleep. Why wasn't Franklin's dick out?
Yeah, that's what I'm missing in my life. There's a Franklin's dick puzzle piece. Not like that's
it's
not
just missing this one little piece. My life is no longer fulfilled.
Anyhow, Franklin's dick didn't come out and he fell down the hill. Which is and then we're kind of like they get him back into the van. So this is now we're introduced to the van of young people after
Yeah.
this. This should have been the first conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we needed to know who these people were before we cared about, Franklin No Dick.
And
Like-
I'd just like to very early on point out that I don't care about Franklin. I hate him.
Yeah, he is a very, 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 very annoying, whingy character. And it's like they're not doing a solid for people in wheelchairs, how
No,
are they? Because
no.
there wouldn't be many people in wheelchairs in movies.
No,
So-
not at all.
At least make him a character who's not stereotypically how people think people are in wheelchairs. That they're
He was
hope-
whingy.
hopeless, whinging. He can't even use his own wheelchair because clearly he's not disabled in real life. Like, you see how he's moving around. For a dude who's like, you assume he's been in a wheelchair his whole life, he's not very good at a wheelchair. Like, doesn't know how to use a wheelchair. Anyway.
No. So it's 1973. It's the hippie generation. So they're in this van. Obviously, the shorty shorts, the no bras, the deep V, and bell-bottom jeans, and they're talking about astrology. They're talking about
Yeah,
Mercury in retrograde, and
which is really weird because so there's 2 guys, 2 girls, and Franklin.
yes, he is like
Franklin is brother to Sally.
Sally. Yes,
Sally, and then we've got the other girl, which name is what's her name?
I can't remember her name because I just kept calling. I think her name's Pam.
Yeah, Pam. So Pam and Kirk.
They're together.
Kirk
Kirk
are a
is
couple.
referred to as Deep V in this, by the
Deep
way.
V.
Deep V.
And then we have Sally
And Jerry.
and Jerry.
Yep, Jerry is like
Kirk, Jerry, Pam, and Sally and Franklin.
yeah, they really worked hard.
They're,
on this.
they're 70s now.
So Jerry is he's got the bell-bottom jeans. He's got this terrible paisley shirt, big sort of 70s Jufro, and the big old glasses.
Yeah.
So he is very they're all
And then Kirk is kind of like a sporty dude.
yeah, so he's still got the bell-bottom jeans, matching sort of
But he's the kind of dude that wears like a ringer t-shirt, those
Yes.
things that are just tight fitting.
yes,
But he doesn't in this, but he would.
he would be wearing the shortest of shorts.
Oh, yeah.
If this was-
I'm thinking about getting into some short shorts this year.
Could you?
I actually I may still own a pair of white jeans that I've cut into the shortest shorts where the pockets are coming out the bottom of the shorts.
I need to see this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I'm not a fan of shorts. I'm wearing shorts today because it's meant to be hot, but I hate shorts. I feel less authoritative.
Anyhow, we got the
Thank you.
kids. They're introduced there. And then what do we do here? Then
So they pull up to a cemetery.
yeah, this was weird, hey.
So this is the cemetery that we saw at the very beginning of the film where
had-
they were reporting on grave robbing.
We introduced a whole bunch of weird
A lot of rednecks and hillbillies. Just one's sort of drinking himself into a stupor on the grass.
saying a bit of stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot of people around because obviously they're checking on the graves to make sure like their loved ones haven't been death.
This scene to me was like a ham-fisted way of just saying, look at the kind of people that are around this area.
Yeah.
Like, these are deep Texas, like dudes who don't get anything. There's a surprising lack of women in this film, apart from the cute 2 women in the car.
Yeah.
There's no one else,
No.
I don't think, in the whole film.
There's like some extras in the background, but that's about it.
Are there?
Yeah.
In this scene? Oh, there might have
Yes,
been, yeah.
in this
Okay.
scene. Yep.
So yeah, and then we you get thinking they're like, one of them is like, hey, my uncle owns a place around here. And they're like, oh, you own that place, do you? And like, it's this weird scene that doesn't make any sense because we don't actually know what's going on, but
Yeah.
they're talking as if we know what's going on.
So Sally's gotten out of the car at the cemetery. She's talking to just a local, and she's saying that I think my granddad is buried here. We just want to make sure that his grave's okay. And they're like, oh, you go tell the sheriff, and he'll...
Which nothing eventuated. Like, they didn't
No.
even go check a grave or anything in the
No,
end.
because then it's back on the road again.
Bang!
and
They're straight back in the car. It's just
They're
like, okay.
driving past a slaughterhouse.
And they're like, ew, it smells!
And then, yes, so they're talking about the stench, they're talking about the slaughterhouse, and then they're talking about how they would, kill the...
How to kill. Yeah, which is really weird. Like, Franklin gets into the actual logistics of killing an animal to show that he doesn't have any social skills. That they're like, gosh, why are you even talking about that? Let's get back to our astrology book,
Yeah.
which I would say which is just a textbook, which they're just reading it. One of the girls is just reading out aloud, and the guy driving's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. And I'm like, what are you guys studying for a test? Are you trying to show that these people have like, they're not just, dumb teens, that they're into astrology. Number one, astrology is stupid. Like, you know, it doesn't matter what planets are doing. It doesn't affect my dick.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's very good that Franklin is talking about this because it does sort of come into play later on in the film.
Yeah.
So, you know, how a lot of people from the working at the slaughterhouse were put out of work because, you know, there was heaps of people employed to bash the cows on the head with hammers, but now they've got
the bolt gun.
The bolt gun.
Yeah, and it also overlays that with real footage of real slaughterhouse footage, which is always like a bit weird. But why not? Yeah, they're trying to add in that. I think that was just to add in make it even more real. Show some real, like, fucking cows.
Yeah, we love cows.
Which did set a scene of how gross an area they're in. The fact that there's a stink of death in the air, which is kind of cool. Anyhow, they decided to pick up a hitchhiker at this point.
It's true. The hitchhiker reminds me of John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
He does.
Is it the weird smile mouth?
Yeah.
Or like a weird version of I forgot his name. Keep going.
Okay, that's fine. So they pick up a hitchhiker. He's got this weird birth mark on his face. He's got a bag that he's clearly made out of roadkill. And he's a bit strange. I think
he's a great strange, but he's like super happy and like, hey guys, where? And then they start talking about the slaughterhouse, and he fucking beams up, and you can tell he's been there.
Yep.
And he's like taking fucking Polaroids of the dead animals or shit like that, or he starts showing. He's just a fuck up.
Well, he starts talking. He's like, "Oh, my brother and like my family worked there, and we were really good at killing the cows. My brother was the best at killing the cows. He'd kill them real good with the hammer. He'd like bash the hammer on the head. And cows." And
so, is this whole film implying because the slaughterhouse closed down, Leatherface had nowhere to kill again?
Yes.
And so he just has to kill people?
Pretty
So it fucked him up? I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. So it's mostly like, well, what are they going to do now?
So human are cattle to him. Ooh, right, that your thesis, bitch.
Fucking savage. So this guy's weird. At this point, like, Franklin's pulled out his pocket knife and he's picking his fingers with it, and he's just been...
It's a good knife.
It's just like, oh, there's a really good knife. And, you know, the hitchhiker takes the knife, and then he's like, oh, this is a great knife. Like, this is a good knife. And then proceeds to cut his hand open.
Cutting himself up. So it's showing he's even more crazy.
He's like, well, there's some crazy pants. So he's bleeding everywhere, and...
They're all like, oh, fuck, this guy. Why did we pick him up?
It's like, maybe it's time for you to move on there, buddy. And then he pulls out his camera, and...
Yeah, so the hitchhiker's got like a big old Polaroid camera for some reason.
Takes a photo of Franklin, and then he's like, it's a good photo. You should pay me for it.
Yeah, basically he does the old, the hawker picture of takes a photo of him and then wants money for it straight away. And he says no. Then he freaks out. He puts the photo down. He gets some alfoil. He puts some gunpowder on it, and he burns it. It's some sort of like, looks like a little bit of witchcraft, a bit of black magic.
Yep.
It's nothing.
No.
He doesn't ever come back up. So, that all froths everywhere. As everyone panics that there's froth, fizzes up. There's flames in the car, but hitchhiker grabs Franklin and cuts him with a switchblade that he had in his pants.
Yeah, he's like, this is also a good knife.
Yeah.
This is my knife.
So they kick him out.
He smears, so he's kicking the car, because he's like, oh, I live just down there, you can drive me down there, and they're like, nah, get out the fucking van now.
Out.
So he's kicking the car, he's laughing, and he's smearing his blood all over the car.
Which he, makes into some sort of logo, which I can only assume is to tell people to fuck them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
or
is.
some shit. Is it though? Is that cast in stone? That idea that logo, get these guys.
I'm under the assumption, because of course they go to the gas station next.
It is nice to not know what is crazy and what is like whatever they're doing, which I think that's what is really powerful for the film. That there is a lot of stuff that's in it that is like, it could be this or it could be that. It's fine.
Definitely. So I feel that if they hadn't have gone down the path that they went down, so what we're about to explain
next.
If
he paid him for the photo, he would have gotten out and they wouldn't have got killed.
Yeah, potentially. Or it still would have happened, but instead of them going off and doing what we're about to explain that they've done, they're going to get done over at some point anyway, because...
But then again, at no point if you think about it though, does anyone come for them? They all go to the problem.
Yeah.
So I don't think it had anything to do with anything.
So maybe if that hadn't have happened, they would have come to them.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? It's
Anyhow,
all
They
speculation.
pull up a gas station. Guess what? No gas.
What a coincidence. That's terrible.
Got no gas. The gas station guy warns them to, like, they're like, oh, we're going to a house at this certain spot. And he's like, oh, you don't want to go there. So he's actually telling them not to go there. Even though they have the logo on the car.
Yeah.
So...
Which doesn't get washed off the car, if you notice. The guy washes the front of the car, washes the windshield, sees blood on the car, doesn't touch it.
Yeah, fair enough. I wouldn't touch blood on a car either, though, if I was a washer.
No.
So, then, yeah, there's a symbol on the side. They drive to the old... So, fuck it, let's just move on. They drive to the... so they drive to this old house. They keep doing this old house that their parents own. And now, they get there.
Franklin's whinging about the blood on the car.
Yeah, well, they go into the house. Everyone, Franklin's kind of left to, like, his own way. Like, this house isn't even a house.
No.
Right? This is, like, a ruin.
Yes.
You can't stay there.
No.
None of them, they don't have any camping gear. What is their plan?
Yeah, who knows? So it's the house of the grandfather. And, I mean, I'm going to assume that these kids are in their mid-20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And she's upstairs. So this house is in complete ruins, but she's like, oh, I stayed here when I was 8. Like, there's no way unless you've burnt this fucker down,
In 10
there
years
is
or
no
whatever.
way this house can look like this in that time.
Yeah, and also, what is their plan?
Yeah.
They've gone
Why
on a
are
road
they
trip
there?
to a ruin.
Yeah.
They have no sleeping gear. What was their plan? Like, and they're like, we're going to go check out the house. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
There's no real
Franklin,
need for it.
like, gets out the car. Clearly, he's not a real person. He's in a real wheelchair. He's getting stuck in the dirt. He's whinging. He starts to throw a tanty.
Yeah.
Let's go on a road trip. Like, as in, like, a full just, like,
Yeah.
spoiled kid tanty. He's obviously been dragged on this trip. Or has he? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who cares?
I just based on his character, I'd be like, you would have whinged and manipulated her into bringing you, and then you're whinging and manipulating that they've not spent the whole. And this has nothing to do with him being in a wheelchair. This is just his personality. That shit that he would have been like, oh, I've got no one, and I've got nowhere to go or anyone to be with. So he's come along but is really put out that they can't change their plans
Yeah.
for someone who cannot do things.
He's just like, he's not, as I said, he's not doing it any favours for
Yep.
the wheelchair, or representing the wheelchair community. He's basically written as a character that everyone thinks what wheelchair people are like, and which is bad. So,
Yeah.
Toe Pooper? Bad writing. Next, so then Pam and Kurt, they're like, isn't there a swimming hole around here? I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you even want to go swimming? You don't even have anywhere to sleep or anything to do.
Yeah.
No, there's no drinks in this thing. Like,
No.
what are they doing?
You would be very
No one
dehydrated.
smokes weed. No one drinks. Like, what are they doing?
This isn't 1973, clearly.
This isn't, they're not religious.
No.
Like, who are these people? Anyhow, they go to find a swimming hole, and guess what? The swimming hole's all dried up.
What? That's just wow. Yep.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that they see on the horizon. Oh, look, there's a house over there, and we can hear a generator running. Maybe they've got some gas.
Yes. Nice.
So they cruise over there. They see a whole bunch of old dead cars that are hidden under like camo mesh.
Yep.
Which is obviously, other victims, which I think it happened a bit too early in the film, because there's no, you just you should have seen that later, once we'd seen that they've been killing, and then it could reveal that they've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, but also it kind of works that they've done it that way because, you drive past so many, especially down my way, there's just cars in yards.
Cars in yards.
Cars in the front yard, and they're just burnt out or
That is
just,
true, yeah.
It's like, oh, this is our good car, this is the shooting car. So it could mean one thing, it could mean another thing, but where they are, they're not going to question that kind of thing.
Yeah, they get up to the house, knock on the door, no one's home.
Oh.
And then you do exactly what you do when you go to someone's house you don't know, and you open the door and you just go in.
That's usually what I do. Yep.
Yeah. So Herb goes inside and Pam waits outside.
Yep.
Herb goes inside, he's looking around, he's just in the kind of the foyer.
Yeah. He's hearing some weird noises. And,
Yeah,
like,
so he
pig
goes over
squeals.
and then suddenly, bang, door opens. Herb gets slammed in the head with a hammer by Leatherface, who never gets called Leatherface.
No.
He's just called Brother. And it's like actual hammer hit to the head. He's on the ground. He's twitching.
This is a perfect scene because, of course, at this time, it's just this derelict house with this doorway
And they're yelling out, "Anyone here?"
bright red wall with all these taxidermy, animal heads on it. And then he's sort of looking, and then just that thunk thunk of him being hit on the head, and then the spasming, twitching.
Yeah, the
of the body.
spasming is really what did it. Like, he's just
so
like, his
good.
brain's just gone into spasm. And then, like, yeah, so Leatherface just quickly grabs him, pulls him a bit further in the door, and then slams this
the door.
steel door, like,
Yeah.
hard cut. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh.
And then I thought, like, 5 years later, Halloween came out, and there's not even anything as close as that violent. And then I realized this is a different kind of film. Halloween was a slasher. This is not a slasher. And then I realized this is a gore porn film.
This is
like
a gore porn.
hostile gore porn. And I gotta say, I don't like gore porn films.
No,
I
you
never have. But so I was like, ugh.
Yep.
And then, and so then when we were left with Pam's outside. She's like,
Well,
this all happens very quickly.
it does.
I thought this was actually one of the coolest part of the films.
This is one of the most iconic sequences in the film, like this whole thing.
The problem with this is I thought, man, this is going to be so violent. There isn't actually much more violence in this film from this point.
No.
A lot of it is soundscape from now on, and the sound of stuff happening, and which I think is fine.
Mm-hmm.
So Pam's she's out there like, where's Kurt? Kurt, where are you? Where are you? She goes into the house as well. She goes a different way. She falls into the bone room.
Yes.
So she falls into a room which is covered
Chicken feathers.
like plucked feathers all over the ground, like a layer
Yep.
of chicken feathers. So when she falls, it all boofs up. And she gets and they're all stuck on her and her sides of her mouth, like gross. Not knife feathers, not pillow feathers either. Like,
there's a chicken in a cage, and
it's a whole room. This is where they put all their creativity.
they've like built a couch out of bones, and
so there's animal bones, there's human bones. It's bone room.
So again, this is where it falls back to the Ed Gein thing, because when they went into his house, he had made like the lampshades out of human flesh, and then all these different things using the bodies that he's found. So this is where that sort of touches on that again. Yeah,
so so this is based on some real serial killer shit. So we're getting more of an insight into these people, who they are. They're fucked.
Yeah.
So we forgot to mention, in case you don't know what Leatherface looks like, because in case you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's a big man. He wears like a shirt and pants, slacks.
Yes.
He wears an apron, like a killing apron, which we just realised now is a slaughterhouse apron.
Yes.
And he has a skin mask made out of someone's face. That's why he's Leatherface.
Yeah.
And he wields a chainsaw, or he wields a hammer. He wields things.
He wields. He's a wielder.
So that's what he looked like. And he doesn't talk. He just kind of like yells and he's fucked up.
So he's like potentially a little bit developmentally challenged, and he's never learnt to talk. So the way he communicates is with like
grunts,
squeals and grunts, and
he's like a pig.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like he's learnt to talk from the pigs.
Yeah. So Pam, like at this point, she throws up. She's so grossed out by this room that she gets up, starts to race out, and as she's about to race out, Leatherface wrenches open the door, snatches her up, which is another iconic scene. If you've seen like any kind of still or any sort of like anything for this film, it's him with her. He's got her under one arm, and he's picked her up like it's nothing.
Like he's a big man.
Yeah, he a big man, and he's like picks her up, walks her back into the house. She's screaming, trying to get out. Nope. And then immediately walks into, so we see where
a new room,
and he hangs her on a meat hook.
Yeah, like just straight into that. We don't see it happen.
No.
But it is a better meat hook version than in Texas Chainsaw New Generation, because there's actual blood.
Yes.
She gets honked onto a meat hook,
yeah,
and then is made a lot to watch as Leatherface goes about his business and chainsaws up Kurt right in front of her. Yep. We do not see that though. It is more soundscape and her screaming, more her reaction and stuff like that. This is where it starts to get very unnerving. Anyway, we cut back to the Scooby Gang.
Yep.
Back at the house, we have Jerry, Kurt, and Pam. No, Jerry goes, and Jerry decides he's a bit worried. Where is everyone? I'm gonna go look for Kurt and Pam. So he goes to the house.
Yep, and leaves Franklin and Sally back at the van, where Franklin is still whinging about the blood on the van and that it's a symbol and they're going to come and get him. They're going to kill him. He's in danger. What the fuck? Oh, no, Sally, I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Whinge. So
then we get Jerry rocks up at the house, and what only can be described as the sound of a mogwai, like Gizmo. Like, it's the actual sound like of the gremlin, like
It's true. It actually reminded me a little bit of Scream 2 at the very opening sequence where Omar Epps goes into the bathroom and he's like taking a leak in the bathroom and he hears this sound in the next door and it is very much like and he puts his ear up against the wall and then bam, knife through the ear. It reminded me a lot of that.
How would someone know where the ear is?
I don't know. Yeah.
So Jerry goes in to look for a Mogwai because he's like, they're great, they multiply.
It's true. This film hasn't come out for another 10 years, but that's fine. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, he looks around the house. He also just walks. But these people have no boundaries,
No.
eh? Like, if they serve them right. As we've said, none of these people, this would have happened if they hadn't gone into the house.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep going, and they just keep going into the house. So he goes in the house, he can't find anyone. He looks around, he sees a big freezer. It's making a noise. He opens the freezer up, and then we have Pam burst out, all fucked up.
Yeah.
She's in shock. She doesn't know what's going on. She just sits up out this freezer, gets a throat embolism.
Yep. And then, of course, he steps back. Leatherface comes in and bonks him on the head.
With a hammer.
Yep.
He hammers. So far we've had 2 hammer takeouts and a chainsaw dismemberment.
It is hammer
already so much more
Yep.
than Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
At this point, Leatherface, he seems to be freaking out a little bit. So he's kind of just feels unsettled with.
Yeah, is this
him.
the scene where he just sits down and
Yeah,
has
he's
a bit of a panic attack?
You know, he's looking out the window. He's like having a look around. Like, you know, are there more people coming? What is happening?
Yeah,
Like,
why are all these people
don't
suddenly
understand.
coming into my house?
And then it sits down and we get this close up of him in his mask, and you know, you can see he's got the redneck teeth, and he's just like.
I think this is the first time you get a close up of the mask. It's to show that it actually is he's wearing someone else's face.
Yeah. And it's pure existential. He's like having this existential crisis.
Yeah, because he can't deal with. He knows as well that his family are probably very violent, and he's going to get blamed for whatever's happening here. So he's like a scared dog.
Yeah.
He's like, woo! And he sits down and puts his hands in his head, in his hands, and has a bit of an existential crisis.
And we feel like a little bit of empathy for him.
A little bit.
Yeah. And then it kind of goes away, but then.
And then bang, it's nighttime.
Yep.
All of a sudden.
Yep. So Franklin and Sally back at the van, you know, Sally's tooting on the horn, you know, trying to get their attention. And she's saying, you know, Franklin's got this flashlight. She's like, well, give me the flashlight. I'll go look for
This
them.
is tediously long. Like,
It is.
Give me the flashlight. No, give me the flashlight.
Oh, don't leave me alone. Like, I don't want you to leave me alone. I can go with you. She's like, I cannot push you down this hill. I cannot push you through this dirt. And he's like, but don't leave me. Don't leave me. I'm not going to give you the flashlight because you can't leave me. And they basically like wrestle. Yeah, they wrestle over the flashlight, and he's like, I hear something stop, and at this point, bam, Leatherface, chainsaw straight to Franklin.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, well, first they go on a big mission through the woods.
Oh, okay.
She's like pushing him through the woods anyway, so he gets his way.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
she starts pushing him through the woods, pushing him in the wheelchair, and then suddenly, bang, Leatherface comes out.
Yeah.
So there is this long, tedious scene of her pushing him through fucking reeds and shrubs and that, and the wheelchair getting bogged, and but he basically just didn't want it. He just wanted the flashlight. This is him having another bloody hissy fit because he wants the flashlight. And then Leatherface comes out of nowhere and chainsaws Franklin through the guts, and I've written in capital letters, yes!
I wrote, bam, Leatherface fucking up Franklin with a chainsaw, all in caps.
Yeah, and I've also written just for this, man, I hate Franklin.
Yeah, I've got that written a few times throughout this.
So Franklin's finally dead. He doesn't even come back into it. Leatherface doesn't even bother doing anything with him.
No.
He doesn't take him back.
He's going to be a lot of dead weight.
Yeah, he is. He is a little bit overweight, Franklin.
Yes, they do poke fun of that throughout the film as well.
Oh, man.
So, you know, now we've got a chase scene between Leatherface and Sally.
Okay, Sally is basically the final girl.
Yeah.
This is the only one. All this happens very quick. Like the killing bits are just like, okay, cool. Now the rest of the film is just about Sally.
Yes.
We got rid of all those fucking dead weight characters.
Yep. So she's running, and then she arrives at the house.
She's running through the forest. She's getting her hair caught in the bloody trees. Like, I hate to have long... Because she's a long, blonde-haired girl.
Yeah, very, very 70s vibe to her, because it is the 70s. Leatherface, so Gunnar Hansen could actually run a lot faster than she could. So you can see many scenes of him trying to, like...
Jogging?
Pull back, and then at one point he's just like... cutting up some trees because he
These trees,
he's like,
these small
"Oh,
shrubberies are in my way.
this wooded thicket is in the way, just so he couldn't catch up to her.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So yes, and
Once again, anything could have played a good role in that, though.
Yeah.
Like, you could have just made it look like it was fine.
did you notice that she had a full body flailing scream? So as she's running, everything's going.
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like wacky waving and like
One of those, like,
yeah.
what are they? The inflatable, wacky
Yeah.
waving people. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she's just full body screaming and flailing as she then runs into the house,
She runs into the house,
shuts the door,
runs upstairs,
goes upstairs.
runs into someone's house, doesn't know who they are, runs upstairs, runs into a room. There's two people sitting at it's an empty room with just two armchairs at the end. She runs up and goes, "Please help me!" to the people sitting. They're both dead people.
Yeah.
Cut in the highest pitch fucking noise you can. Like, they
Yeah.
just overlaid this sound of like,
Yeah.
and like, you're like, oh my god, yes, I am unnerved. Thank you very much.
This is very
Just in case you
atmospheric.
weren't unnerved that there's these screaming people. It's like, so in that last scene, there was her running through the forest screaming. There was a chainsaw going off constantly and Leatherface squealing.
Yeah.
So, and then in case we didn't need a bit more, just like, horrible fucking grindcore.
Yeah, they rely very heavily on sound throughout this.
Yeah.
final
Which is
sequence.
fine.
Yeah,
Which
no,
gives it its own, it gives it its own feet. It lands
works.
it as well. Like,
So Leatherface is outside. So rather than just opening the door like a person, he's got the chainsaw and he's like trying to get
he's
through the door.
chainsawing
with
his
the
own
chainsaw.
house door.
Which is very strange. At this point, Sally runs down the stairs to try and go back out of the house.
Sees the Leatherface.
And this is the only horror film in which the victim startles the killer. Because she runs down, they basically meet at the bottom of the stairs, both kind of freak out at the sight of each other, and then she goes running back up the stairs
Yeah.
and immediately jumps out the window.
She jumps us out of a second-story window. Now, if I know anything about jumping out of second-story windows, you get compound fractures, if anything from Beyond has taught me. She just fucking lands, just thump.
Thunk.
Thump on a grassy thicket.
Yeah.
She thonks down onto the ground. She's a little bit hurt, a little
Yeah.
bit dazed.
And then off she goes, screaming and flailing, and again, Leatherface is in tow. So this whole sequence could actually be shot to the Benny Hill theme song.
Yes. This film is very short. Did you notice? This film is 120 minutes, including credits and opening.
Yep.
So if you take that out, it's basically a 110-minute film,
It's
which is
true.
very short.
And as we get a little bit closer to the end,
They can't cut anything out. It's going
there
to be
is
too
shit
short.
that they should have cut, but they had to leave it in,
Yeah,
obviously. So
they didn't film enough because they're fucking turkey goblins.
Yep. So she's off screaming and flailing. Leatherface is chasing after her, and then she's running. We're back through the woods, and then she clotheslines herself on a branch, which is hilarious. And then she's like, "Oh fuck," and just gets up and off she goes again. And then ends up at the gas station.
She makes it back to the gas station that has no gas.
Yeah. And, he's the gas station attendant. He's still there. He's like, "You're all right, girl. Like, it's fine."
And they get this weird scene where he sits her down. He goes, "I'm gonna go get the truck." And then there's this weird because he cooks barbecue. He mentions that earlier, and they eat some barbecue. And then there's a like weird shot of her freaking out, looking at the barbecue. And I'm like, clearly there's gonna be people in there. There wasn't.
No.
There was just barbecue. She just doesn't like barbecue. And I'm
Yeah.
like, who doesn't like
Maybe
barbecue?
she's a vegetarian. I don't know. I mean, yes, we are under the assumption that it is actually people, but if you do barbecue right, you can have, like, you don't need to have a full arm in there. You just have, like, bits of flesh cut up.
Wait, did he have an arm in there?
He didn't, no.
No, but like they could have just added that in there for the film, like
Yeah.
to make it even grow. Like she realizes this dude's fucking eating people.
Yeah.
I never thought that, or selling people to other people and they're eating them, and we ate it earlier on. I thought that would have been a nice thing, but they didn't really do it. She just freaks out at the barbecue.
It is a very odd sort of moment of, like, all this close-up, like...
Yeah, very eat carpet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the gas station man returns, and then he returns with a bag. Or
Yeah, he got a big old sack, and clearly she realizes that she's going in that sack.
Yeah, so he's
And-
fucked up as well. He's part of the problem.
Yep.
So he starts beating her up with a broom. With a broom handle. He's bonking her with a broom and poking at her like, he eventually knocks her out somehow with a broom handle. So she's like dazed and confused, and puts her in a Hessian sack.
Yeah, ties her up, puts her in a sack, puts her in the truck, and then off he goes, obviously back to the house.
Yeah, but there is a shot of him like just poking her with the stick.
Yeah.
So he's driving along back to the house. He's still chatting to her, and he's poking her with the thing.
I hated that. Like, I think it's just the face and the.
Did you hate it as in from a filmmaking point of view, or just hated him because he's so gross?
He is so gross.
Yeah.
And just the way, like, his face and it's just, I can't even think of the word that I'm thinking of, but just how he was doing it.
Yeah, and because every time, like, he pokes her, she screams so loud, and it makes him, like, heaps happy.
Yeah.
Like, he's just getting off on it.
That made me very uncomfortable.
So at this time, we still don't know what his tie is with this film. So he rocks up at the house, and the hitchhiker's in the driveway.
Yep.
The bloody idiot hitchhiker. He's running around.
Like, get in the fucking back. Get in the truck.
And then we realise, they all know each other. They're all in cahoots, blah, blah, blah. Because at this point, we didn't know the hitchhiker was part of the family either. So we all realise that everyone in the film is all part of this one house. So we meet the hitchhiker again, and now he's part of the thing.
And he's talking and making fun of him, and he's getting pissed off and trying to, like, smack him around and be like, fuck you, man. Leatherface is...
Now dressed up as a lady?
Like a grandma or like an old
I called
lady?
him like mother face.
Motherface.
Motherface. He's down. He's put on a new set of skin.
Yep.
He's got a new outfit. He's got an apron, and he's got like a lady's apron now instead of a butcher apron.
Yeah.
He's all like kind of hunched over like a little old lady. He's like oh, making these like lady noises. He's become mum.
Yeah.
The mum of the family. So clearly he's got his shit together.
Well, yeah. So the attendant starts. He's noticed the house is in a bit of disarray, more so than usual. The door's been cut open.
Yeah, your brother's cut the door down.
So he starts like wailing on Leatherface, beating him up, and like yelling at him about.
And this
stuff.
is like in Texas Chainsaw New Generation, how they homage this scene. It's done so bad. Texas Chainsaw New Generation, I didn't realize how much of it just is a remake of the first film, but like every scene is done badly.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah.
So the attendant, the cook he's beating up Leatherface, and then he's like, while the hitchhiker is harassing and tying up Sally, he's like, oh, I remember you from before. Like, oh yeah, it's you. Ha. Told you you'd see me again. And then he's like, go upstairs, get your grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So yeah, Leatherface and the hitchhiker go upstairs and grab the corpse that she earlier found and ran out of the room, but they had the high pitched notes.
Yeah.
They sit her at a table, or just sit her down. They tie her to a chair.
Yeah, so it's a chair at this long dining table. So it's obviously dinner time. They're going to have a meal together.
Yeah, with her.
That's what you do.
Yeah, well, it happened in Brain Dead. They had a dinner together.
That's right.
Dinner, the theme of all horror films. The good old sit down with the folks dinner.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So it's so strange because this grandpa is like, he's dead.
This is fucked.
He's dead. He's dead. What? But is he? And then we start to get a lot of weird camera angles happening.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like up shots, down shots, around. It's very nightmare. It's kind of disorientating.
Yeah, it starts to get very art house and weird. And they get a knife out and they cut her hand. They cut her fingers, and she's screaming about shit. This whole time I thought she's screaming.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of screaming.
There is so much screaming.
And they cut her finger and they put her fingers into the corpse's mouth. Suddenly the corpse just comes alive and starts sucking on her fingers.
He
and I was
ain't dead.
like, and I've written in my notes, Jesus Christ, this would have fucked people up in 1973.
Yeah.
This is horrendous, this shit that's happening now.
It was really strange. So during this scene where her finger gets cut, it actually gets cut. Gunnar Hansen actually cuts her finger open.
In real life.
Yes, there was a lot of speculation as to, like, they just couldn't get the scene right. She just wasn't doing the right reaction, and he was fed up, and he just cut her. But then there's just speculation that they were trying to do the scene, and she slipped, she moved wrong. And
so she really did get cut.
So she's really cut, she's really bleeding.
It's 1973, mate. There ain't any rules. Considering there aren't any rules in like 85 or 6 when they made Evil Dead. This is like Pepsi no rules generation. So Sally is getting fucking sucked. Her fingers are getting sucked off. She just can't handle it. This is too much. She faints.
Done. It's also
I
like
would've fainted way
100
before that.
degrees. So while they were filming this film, this was like one of the worst heat waves in Texas
Oh, yuck.
as well. And the house, they were saying, so the gentleman that plays the hitchhiker was actually a Vietnam vet, and he said that filming this sequence in the house, the smell of because everything they had laid out on the table already started rotting. Everyone's in there. Obviously, they couldn't wash Leatherface's clothes because you can't get the continuities out. So everyone stinks. Everyone smells really bad. It's like 100 degrees. It's gross. And he's like, this was worse than Vietnam.
This is worse than Nam. He was probably a clerk. Office job. So Sally faints. She works up. She's tied to... Yeah, now she's tied to the chair and the full dinner table is set and they're all at the dinner table.
Yeah. And then they have this weird and horrible screaming montage.
Screaming montage. There is so much screaming.
I did turn it down.
I turned it down. My wife came in and goes, this is fucked. She goes, this was interesting at first. She thought of it, but she was like, this is shit now.
Yeah.
This is just screaming. Like, this is...
Yeah.
And it got to me. I was like, oh my God, so much screaming.
Loud noises.
The screaming doesn't let up now till the end of the film. So everything we're saying from now on, imagine there is a girl screaming over the top of everything that happens from now on.
Yeah.
So they decide to let Grandpa kill her.
Yeah.
Because they're like, Grandpa was the best killer. Let's get old Grandpa to kill her.
Yeah. I thought it was a little strange as well because there's this little sequence where they're like, well, now we got to kill you. Like,
now we got to kill you.
Sorry, this is just a situation that you just wrong place, wrong time. We got to kill you. And they're making fun of the gas station attendant because he can't kill people. And he's like, I take no pleasure in killing.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't do it. And they're like,
he starts to poke you with a broom handle.
Yeah.
That's his vibe.
He's a little bit sadistic.
Well, he
but
might
he's
have
not a killer.
been. He might have been the guy who fucks the corpses when they dig them up. Because it is applied as well that they are the ones digging up the corpses.
Yeah, we kind of get that by now.
Yeah, so and they talk about so he's the necrophilia vibe of it. He's waiting for them to kill her so he can bang her.
Yep, and
Maybe.
then cut her up and cook her and sell her as barbecue.
And then bang her.
Yeah.
Bang that barbecue.
I found that this whole dinner table scene it goes.
It doesn't it?
It goes and goes.
So yeah, they get her. They hold her head down over a big steel pail. They wheel the grandpa over or whatever, and they like put a hammer in his hand. He's just like he's so weak. He can't even. There's this tedious scene of him constantly trying to hit her in the head with a hammer and dropping the hammer.
And it keeps going.
They hit her a couple of times
going. And it drags. And it's like, why? He's clearly old. Why would you give him that? This is a bad idea.
Well, I think he wanted to do it. He just couldn't. He was too old.
He's too old.
He didn't drink enough blood.
No.
To kickstart his heart.
So because this drags on for too long, Sally gets up.
They're still screaming.
She's still screaming. Full body screaming.
Yeah, they start arguing, which gives her an opportunity to get up and run away.
She gets up and runs out the window. Jumps out the window. It's now morning.
Second window she's jumped through.
Yeah, she's just fucking up.
I'm going to say, she was very beaten up, and she looked great in there. She had blood all over her. The continuity was quite good. So, all the grossness was same, but as you said, it's just because they were just all in the same clothes constantly.
Yeah. Well, she was, I think, on the couple of first days of filming, she'd gone to a local laundromat to wash the clothes, and they all got stolen. And luckily, there was a place that had like one top left, and she just couldn't wash it for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
So by the time filming ended, you could pretty much just like hit it on some
It's like Liz Lemon's jumper when they pick it up and it's just like frozen. She goes, "Oh, you got it off the chair." So Sally escapes. She starts running down the road, and it's turned into this daytime chase scene through the forest, down the road.
Very similar to The Next Generation.
Yeah, well, that's because they copied it.
Yep.
They even do the hammer thing. So then we get... so she's running through. We got the hitchhiker running after her. We got Leatherface running after her. She runs out into the road, and there's a big fucking truck comes down the road, and it just fucking hits the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
And we get a great moment. So this is only the second bit of like real good violence I think we've really seen.
Yep.
You just see this like dummy that they've obviously made up. So the truck obviously hits him and then slams on its brakes, and you just see this dummy getting clonked under these tires. It was great.
Yep.
I wrote ha ha because it looked really funny.
Yeah.
Still screaming going on, like she's still running around. She fucking gets in, like she stops. The truck stops. She tries to get into the truck.
So they get into I think the truck driver gets out, comes up to her, and then they see Leatherface. So they get into the truck. Leatherface is on the outside of the truck, just like
trying to chainsaw the truck door.
the door. And they get out of the truck.
The other side, because they're like, well...
Instead of driving off.
Yeah, dickheads. So they were, he was pretty panicked. He was probably like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
So now we have truck driver, Sully and truck driver are running away. Leatherface is running behind them. A truck driver has a wrench in his hand, which he lobs at Leatherface, clocks him square in the face, which I thought was hilarious.
Yes.
Knocks Leatherface basically straight back onto his back. He falls down. As he falls down, his chainsaw falls onto his leg. And this looked great.
Yeah.
Chainsaws his own leg, which you could just tell was just a big meat wad that they were just chainsawing.
That's exactly what they did.
Oh, really?
They had a metal thing on his leg.
Did they just bury his leg in the ground?
Protecting... No, they did it really badly because he got burnt. So they had this metal plate protecting his leg and then a piece of, like, steak or something on top of it.
Oh, my God.
And
that would have heated up so quick.
It did, and it burnt him. So it looks really good because they did it really badly.
It still would have looked good. Like, you just bury the leg. They were on dirt.
Yeah. There's a lot of dirt. A lot of dirt in this film.
A lot of dirt. Yeah, so now Leatherface is all fucked up. He's like, fuck me leg. He gets up. Truck driver just disappears. Truck driver just runs out of shot.
At
Done.
one point I was like, okay, because I was looking at my phone for a bit, and I'm like, wait, where's the truck? Did I miss? Did
he
he
just
die?
runs out of shot. He doesn't exist anymore.
Great, that's fine. He probably went and got back in his truck.
And then a car kind of drives up. Sally flags down the car. Help, 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 help. It's like a ute. She jumps into the back. They stop, jumps into the back of the ute. They see something's fucked up. They speed off.
Yeah.
Shot of her just laugh screaming. So she's gone like fucking nuts. And then we get like Leatherface's dance scene of him just dancing with his chainsaw spinning.
Yeah.
Just like, woo!
So this is meant to be more of a, like, he was originally meant to just be, like, stamping his feet in, like, oh, fuck, I fucked up, she got away, but they thought that the chainsaw, he's meant to be mad about it. He's like, fucking hell, chainsaw around.
It's more like a weird, like, fucked up dance.
Yes.
It's the shame, the dance of shame.
Yeah.
Shame dance. Anyhow, then bam, hard cut, end.
Roll
the end.
credits.
Credits, no music.
No.
Nothing. Just like, I think there was one sound effect. It had like, it did. So it had like, hard cut to like black credits. The credits start coming out and then there was just like this one sound of like, and then it's just nothing. And I'm like, this weird sound.
Done.
And that's it. Final thoughts, Jen.
Final thoughts. I love this film. This film it's a classic film. And it has some of the most iconic images and scenes of all time. There is a lot of scenes that drag because I feel that it's
1973.
It's different time for filmmaking, different time for storytelling. So this is why I find that a lot of films from the 70s really do drag out a lot more. There's not as much blood and gore as I remembered.
True. That's what I was saying earlier. This is like, there's only the hammer scene and the truck running over scene. All the rest is like left up to your imagination, which is, I think, why this film worked really good. I've written in my notes, like, sound effects let your imagination fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And they go really full on with their sound effects. There's even some, like, techniques that, like, Sam Raimi uses in Evil Dead, like, you know, the weird, like, the close-ups on things and stuff like that.
But I think as well, like, budgetary constraints mean that you can't spend as much on effects.
Why do you think this is such a well-known film? Out of all the films that came out in this time, which are quite similar, why do you think this one was above the rest? Do you think it was because it was reported on the news a lot? That it was like... Because wasn't it reported as a true thing as well?
The marketing for this film is fantastic.
Exactly the same as Blair Witch. They did a Blair Witch. Or Blair Witch did a Texas Chainsaw.
So the marketing, you know, based on a true story, this, that, and the other. I just think that... because it is very interesting because you look at The Hills Have Eyes, which, you know, the original one Wes Craven did, and then you look at the Last House on the left. They're all very similar made, but this one just sort of stands out above the rest. Because I think it might have been the first film that started to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
First kind of mainstream film.
Maybe more... I don't think it was meant to be mainstream.
No,
I think
and
it was just supposed to be like the subgenre of those gore porn,
this
underground.
was one of
grindcore-y-
the highest grossing films of 1974 as well.
Yeah, right. So I've written in my notes here, is it ahead of its time or was it a fluke? I reckon it's a fluke, hey? I seriously reckon it's a fluke. I reckon the right editor came along, he cut it together in a way. He was given a whole bunch of just shit.
Yep.
And I reckon he's just like, I'm just going to cut this together. I'll get the sound guy in here. We'll just create pan it out with some weird sound effects and stuff like that. And I think it was really crazy messed up for 1973.
Yeah.
I think a lot of films nowadays they want to recreate that messed up vibe of realness and grossness, which they don't often do very well. I think like maybe Hereditary got it and stuff like that real unnerving fucked shit. Like
Yeah. Well, I think it just sort of sets a tone because a lot of the horror that was happening in the 60s was a lot of more slow burny, gothic, horror-y kind of stuff. And then this just goes straight into, fuck, this is happening in your backyard.
Yeah, and because it was in a place like backwater, I don't know if you say it, like deep Texas, where fucked up people are living in. They don't have much, they don't get into reality very often.
No.
This just gave people who were in normal reality, like, it just fueled their imaginations of what these people are like. There probably aren't that actually many people like that.
No.
But I thought as well, because the editing was so raw and they did all that stuff, it was very dreamlike. So it was almost like the editing started to go crazy when she started to go crazy. It was like, I don't know if that was intentional, but it did seem like it started to get more weirder and dreamed or nightmarish. Weird things happening, weird editing as she is snapping.
Yeah.
Like her mind is not being able to handle it. And the film itself is bending itself around her loss of her grasp on reality.
Yeah, and I think that works very well because it does become very, very apparent as the film. So once the rest are gone, it's just her. Now it's just her, what's happening to her, how she's reacting. And that's the best way that they could convey that was through the editing technique.
There was no humor in this film. No. There was not even like a light joke thrown in.
No.
Not even the kids joked amongst themselves.
But we didn't actually get a lot of time with the characters, if you notice.
No,
so
they were just fodder. They were just cannon fodder.
They're here. Now they're here.
Now they're dead.
Now they're dead.
Now they're hammered. At least someone got hammered in this film. A couple of people. But yeah, and then this is one of those films. I've always said, like,
had you seen this film before?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Would you even want to survive that?
No.
Would you prefer to die? Yes. I think you wouldn't want, if you've gone through that, there is no therapy, there's nothing in the world. You'd never be able to sleep properly. You'd never trust people ever again. You wouldn't leave your house, you'd fortify it. You'd Jamie Lee Curtis it.
That's right. Well, this is the thing. So this is where I don't want to use the Next Generation but at the end of the film where Renee Zellweger's in the hospital and they're wheeling past a woman on a gurney and they have like passing glance. That's Marilyn Burns. That's
so she never made it out of the hospital.
Sally. So she's never made it out. Like it's just fucked her up for the rest of her life.
They share a glance.
Yeah.
They're
like,
girls.
Well, we fucked up.
It had too much screaming.
So much screaming. It burrows through my brain and it hurts.
Yeah.
And it just makes me want to turn down my telly.
But as I said before, I don't like torture movies, so I'm not the best person. So I gave this a C, a classic worth a watch.
Yeah.
I was considering giving it a J because I knew you'd love it, but then again, I didn't know if you would love it because it doesn't actually have enough ham and cheese put on it for it to be a Gen special.
This is something that I like to watch, and it's good to discuss and sort of dissect as a clear defining change in the genre for its time.
A ham and cheese.
So this
sandwich. That's a new genre.
This is a J special, but it's like me doing the Lenny. Sorry, I've hit the microphone. It's like I'm sort of. It's more of a deep analysis on the horror genre, but it is a classic as well. So it's definitely someone that if you're into horror and you're getting into horror, there's a set amount of films that you should be watching. So it's like that, 1001 horror films you should watch.
Yeah, this is one of those films that all other films homage and reference. So
Yeah.
at the very least, you should know what people are referencing.
Yeah.
Especially like, Texas Chainsaw. Like the chainsaw as itself as a weapon may not have even been used in films up until this point.
I don't think so.
But yeah. Anyhow.
So, that's it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now you don't have to watch it, but you should probably...
Have you seen what I've put in for our future homework?
I have.
What do you reckon? You think?
Hey, yeah.
It's it's theoretically a horror film.
It is classed as a horror film.
The New Mutants I've chosen.
Yep. I have been...
I was going to watch this the other day and I stopped because I just saw the reviews. I thought it'd be great to watch it and talk about it.
Let us fucking ruin this. Well, yeah, because I picked up a copy the other day and I asked Liz, I'm like, oh, do you want to watch this film? She's like, nah. It's like when it was meant to be released like 5 years ago, I would have watched it because it's got the little lass from Game of Thrones. It's got the
Stranger Things man,
the cokehead Stranger Things kid, and
the weird brother.
Yeah, with his deep bags.
It's a Marvel film, but apparently it's not cool. It's not very cool. So we'll check it out. None of us have seen it, so let's get into it. But it is classically it is classified as a horror film.
Yeah. So
let's see what they do with that.
Yeah.
Let's see how horror it actually is. As people who are horror aficionados, let's see what we think about it.
Yes.
Anyhow.
Yes. Thank you, guys. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We're a podcast available on all streaming services, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on the YouTubes. Wherever you might listen to us, please leave a rating, give us a follow, thumbs up, ding the bell, all of the things. The more you do that, the more that we can grow.
And comment.
Yes, I love comments.
Even if you're a SoundCloud user or Apple ones, Apple reviews would help us out heaps. If you're an avid listener and you're listening on Apple, please just give us a great review. Like do that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
We want to grow for you guys. We want to be able to create special episodes and do stuff. If we get enough people listening to us, we're gonna start a Patreon.
I would love to do a Patreon, and then we can just read creepypastas to you.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah. We also have an Instagram. You can follow us at TerrorVisionPod. You can email us, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to watch, if you want to discuss something, if you hate us, if you love us, anything like that. We do have a few people who have been messaging through asking for can you watch this film next? Can you do this? Great episode. I'm loving that. That kind of like boosts my ego a little bit.
Oh, we should have done one of them.
We could. There was a few on the list that we'd had done previously.
They might not have got to them yet.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, also, if you want to see some more content that I create, I have a video game show over on YouTube called Hack the Dino, which is a live show which is every other Friday over on Twitch as well at 7 p.m. So go over there for casual hangs, chats about games, nerdism, stupidity. It's just a video game variety show. It's this Friday, so tune into Twitch at 7 p.m. to see me and Braden Dixon, Ben Rosenthal, and Floppy Starrick talk about this week in games. It's basically a gaming news show. And until next week, may all your dreams be nightmares.